How do video games make you an amazing person? Here's 23 ways. With all the negative discourse around games lately, it can be really easy to lose track of something very important. Video games can make you pretty great.
Video games are awesome.
For instance, take the superhero effect. Researchers at Stanford University found that possessing a superhuman ability in-game increases empathy in real life. After people experienced Superman's power of flight in virtual reality, they were more likely to lend a helping hand in real life, even if it was only picking up a spilled cup of pencils. So how else are games making you super? Step right this way and follow me down the rabbit hole. And for all you skeptics out there, links to the sources for all of these are in the description. Games can improve your eyesight. I realize this goes contrary to the conventional wisdom of moms and dads telling you not to sit so close to the TV. But games like Destiny and Halo, where you're moving quickly through environments scanning for enemies on the horizon, these games are great for sustaining what cognitive scientists call contrast sensitivity. That's the ability to discern contrast in colors, so the world actually looks brighter for people who play shooters. Here's another benefit. Games that compel you to level grind or compulsively click on loot like Dragon Age or Diablo are kind of the P90X workout for your brain. Sadly minus Tony Horton though. They cause neurotransmitters to surge through your neural pathways, and this strengthens the structural integrity of your brain. Speaking of brains, games can do superlative things for your mental health. Surprise, surprise, but playing as the bad guy, say robbing a bank in Payday 2, may enrich your moral sensitivity. One study found players experience real guilt when doing bad things in games.
Oh God! Oh God, what have I done?
Guilt is actually positive in this situation because it strengthens the reflexes we use to make moral judgments. If you didn't feel any guilt, that'd be a very bad thing. A study by researchers at East Carolina University found that games decrease symptoms of depression by 57%, fatigue levels by 58%, and anger levels by 55%. I will admit though, they don't always curb anger. As we all know, games can be really scary. Check out our History of Horror episode for a recap. But simulated scares can help us manage anxiety. The horror game Nevermind by Aaron Reynolds, for example, uses a biofeedback sensor to measure your anxiety levels and only lets you advance once you've calmed down. There's also some evidence that games can make your mind younger. After playing NeuroRacer for a month, which was developed to fight cognitive decline, seniors could multitask at the same level as their smartphone-wielding grandchildren. But video games are also good for the truly young, not just the young at heart.
Try to keep my brain active by playing on my Nintendo.
A British psychologist surveyed kids between the ages of 10 and 15 and found links between playing games 1 hour a day and living well-adjusted lives. This goes along with an experiment that found that children who played Nintendo's Brain Age for 30 minutes before class were better behaved. So there.
It's called Brain Age. Train your brain in minutes a day and you play it on the Nintendo DS.
And it's not just kids. Gamers of all ages tend to be more balanced and happy. A 2014 study found them to be more socially outgoing and more employable, despite common stereotypes. And the reason why gamers are getting jobs? Maybe it's because video games give you incredibly tuned skills. Doing crazy chain combos in Tony Hawk develops fine control of the muscles in our hands. That's because games increase the gray matter in our prefrontal cortexes and cerebellum regions of the brain, which are responsible for motor skills. That's why gamers make better surgeons. A group of high school gamers outperformed University of Texas medical students at robotic surgery. Also, note to self, don't have an operation in Texas. But games also improve our control over non-digital things. Preschoolers who played Game Boy regularly were found to be superior at catching and throwing real balls, not just Pokeballs. Of course, games make us just plain smarter, or in other words, they improve brain cognitive flexibility. That's how easily you can jump back and forth between different tasks. In fact, gamers who play action games make decisions 25% faster than other people. Also, gamers can pay attention to up to 6 things at once without confusion, compared to the normal 4, so basically Tom Cruise in Minority Report. Games help us think on a granular level, but also to see the big picture. According to Steven Johnson, author of Everything Bad is Good for You, playing games involves the mental activity of telescoping. They require that you solve the puzzles in front of you while also thinking about the challenges on the horizon at the same time. Games also make people more creative. Studies on creativity have found that the more often that students play games, the higher they score on creativity tests. Maybe this explains all that weird Nintendo Power envelope art. Also, games can be outstanding teachers. Building and launching rockets in Kerbal Space Program lets you go hands-on with physics and spaceflight. Other games let you encounter history in new ways. Twilight Struggle is an amazing board game that reenacts the events of the Cold War, and who didn't learn of dysentery through the Oregon Trail? They can even teach you language. I wish I could forget my alphabet so I could relearn it with Metamorphobet. So whether they're teaching us, giving our bodies a boost, or upgrading our minds, games make us pretty awesome. But hold up, there's more. After all, games don't just make you a better person, the medium does all kinds of amazing things to make the world a better place too. Folded is helping scientists find a cure for HIV, iWire aids neuroscientists at mapping human connectomes, and SFU researchers are studying StarCraft Masters to learn about expertise. The UN's Block by Block initiative lets local communities design public spaces like parks in Haiti, but by playing Minecraft. And SimCity EDU teaches students to plan for issues like overcrowding and pollution, and hopefully not to destroy their cities with giant monsters.
Don't do it. Oh, there it is.
Okay, this last one's huge, and I know it sounds a little bit nuts, but games open up new perspectives on how we understand the world. Think about a game like Portal, for example. Before it, we had no clue what it would be like or feel like to look through a portal and see yourself from behind. This expands what neurologists call neuroplasticity. That's when new pathways burrow through our brains and we learn new ways of thinking. In short, video games equal mind blown. It's nice to know, even after all these hours of playing games, they're doing a lot of great stuff for us. So what do you think? Were you convinced by my massive list of the ways that games are good for us? And what are some of the ones that I missed? Please hash it out in the comments and be sure to leave the appropriate research. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, and I'll see you all next week. For our American audience, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and for our international audience, I hope you had a great week. Anyway, 2 weeks ago, we talked about IKEA and game design. Let's see what you had to say. Ilker Yoldas points out that IKEA is actually a non-profit. I didn't actually know that until I started researching the subject, and I'll link to an article from Fast Company that explains their whole corporate structure. But Jesse Franco takes it a little bit further and says that it's one of the best uses of exploits, maybe ever. So yeah, I'll let you work that one out. Mike Hayes plays the whole experience of IKEA as a game. He goes to the store, walks through all the aisles, and if he manages not to buy anything, then his reward is not having to wait in line and pay at the register. I'm not really sure why you go in the first place, but it must be a really great game if you keep going back. Isles of Scion gave another great example of effort justification. Remember, I talked about the IKEA effect and this idea that by building IKEA furniture yourself, you get more out of it, you value it more highly. So apparently American Easy Bake Cake Mixes had all the ingredients in the box, but it didn't sell well. So some genius marketer found out that, oh, if we made people just add just one egg, then that will change everything. And it did, and it sold incredibly well. So yeah, we find the IKEA effect in all kinds of places. Juan Quiroz points out another example of IKEA's penchant for democratic design. Remember, this is the idea that IKEA makes furniture that can fit everywhere in the world, and it's the instructions. I can't believe I forgot that one. The instructions, they have no words, it's just all pictures, so you don't need to speak a particular language to know what's going on, and they all feature that quizzical IKEA guy at the end on the phone with IKEA, like, I'm missing a dowel. Can you send that to me? Evan Tekrø left a great comment. Evan has some inside information. He works at an IKEA service center in Norway. So hello, Evan. Evan points out that there's been a big shift in how we shop at IKEA, specifically the introduction of online shipping. And now IKEA will come to your house and build your furniture for you, which seems to work against everything that I talked about in the episode, which is that people derive value if you have to do it yourself. So Evan sort of makes the analogy that it's, it's reflective of hand-holding in contemporary video games. And I think it's more reflective of that we want things to be easy, but maybe not too easy. So we want to have to build and be frustrated by IKEA furniture a little bit, but not so much that you have to call them up and say, hey, can you come to my house and do this for you? So I don't know, maybe that will end up working against them, but time will tell.